Alright, welcome back to Chaotic Insights, where I break down the TV show Chaotic. And maybe the TV show isn't the only thing that's chaotic. So today we'll be talking about episode 8, Everything in Flux. So grab a snack, maybe start your laundry, and we'll dive right in. Episode summary. So Tom and Kaz are at Iron Pillar, to scan it. And as they leave, Zurg calls out for help. He is trapped in a lipstick circle drawn by Christella. Tom and Kaz decide to save Zurg. Save. Because Tom and Kaz save Zurg, Parithion calls off his deal with Christella. Then we get the theme song, where Clay tries to scam a new player, who is a child, might I add, but Tom stops him. Upset, Clay challenges Tom to a chaotic match. Then, Kaz helps Tom solidify his strategy, but Christella bugged them and took notes on their whole strategy. Christella then offers the information to Clay, and he accepts. Then Clay battles Tom, and Clay gets the upper hand because he tailored his strategy to defeat Tom's strategy with this inside information. He stacked his deck with lava pond scans, and you equipped his Magmon with a Flux bubble to return back to the lava pond over and over again. Yet, Tom wins the battle by using the information he learned earlier, that Battle Gear does not work at Iron Pillar, and thereby he negates Clay's Flux bobble strategy. In the end, Clay and Christella, they may have lost, but they begin their perfectly nasty friendship. On to analysis. So we get a pretty clear lesson from this episode, and that is locations can give you an advantage when used right, when used strategically. And so we get this from Iron Pillar negating the Flux bobble. Battle Gear does not work at Iron Pillar. We also get this with Magmon. So Magmon fire attacks are boosted, I believe. And so, they both chose locations strategically in order to give them a leg up. So, one thing this episode does is it normalizes learning. So, Tom normalizes learning. So, Tom, our self-insert character, as we learn information, he learns information. So, when Kaz is like, no Battle Gear works at Iron Pillar, everybody knows that. First of all, shut up, Kaz. Not everybody knows that. But Tom goes, I didn't know that. And so Tom admitting that he didn't know, and he is also learning this information for the first time, mitigates the shame that maybe an audience member has, right? Because I, as the audience member, would go, I didn't know that. This is the first time I'm watching this episode. For sure. But Tom goes, I didn't know that. And so now we both didn't know that. And now I understand that this is also the first time they're presenting this information. So it's okay I didn't know that because I'm just learning it now, right? Normalize learning. We can all learn if we just listen. And we're not going to learn if we feel shame. Tom, admitting that he didn't know, reassures the audience. He said, this is new information. We're learning together. And that's okay. And so, good for Tom in that moment. And it's just a way that dialogue was used strategically, right, to reassure the audience. Now, on to Christella and Clay. So, it's kind of weird to me that this is actually the first time we meet our villains. Or no, flip that. This is the first time our villains meet each other, right? Before they both existed as separate entities, we saw Clay. We saw him, how do you say, cheating and scamming, and he didn't cheat, but he, likes to scam and send players deserted into Param, and all these things. And Christella, we saw her admiring, strategic players and the wins, and, having some banter with Peyton. But this is the first time they meet each other. And they come together as a dastardly duo because Clay lost, right? If Clay won, they would have just gone their separate ways, right? If Clay won, they both would have gotten what they wanted, right? And their revenge would have been complete. So it would have been transactional. I gave you information, you beat them, you beat Tom in a battle. I did all I need to do, I got what I wanted, never have to see you again, right? But because Clay lost the battle, now it's the beginning of a perfectly dastardly duo. You know, they their revenge isn't complete. They need to seek that revenge in the future. Just an interesting setup there. And this actually reveals a lot to us about our motivation as characters because they're both motivated by the game, by winning matches and being good players, right? Let's dive into their psyche, right? In every theater class, you have to ask, what is my motivation in this scene? What is their motivation in this scene? What is my objective? And how am I going to get that, right? Even if, even if you're not an actor, you still have to ask. Each of these characters, they have an objective, right? And we're going to dive a little into Clay and Christella's objective, their motivation. Why are they villains to us? Like I said, they're motivated by winning matches and being good players. That's why Clay chooses to challenge Tom, because Clay views the Battledrome as like his evaluation system. He sees losing as humiliating, and he sees winning as not the bare minimum, but like as good. He wants to win. You can't lose because it's humiliation. And thus, if he defeats Tom in battle, Clay thinks that he is humiliating Tom, right? And that's his motivation for the match, right? For the challenge is he wants revenge and he's going the means of public humiliation. And how do you publicly humiliate? By defeating him in a battle. And it's also kind of proven that this is accurate because Clay is so upset when he lost. He's mad and he's yelling, and because he feels bad, right? He hates losing and he feels humiliated, so he's taking it out on other people. And then on the flip side, Christella, this is also why she pokes her head in and gives Clay information, is because she is also trying to enact revenge. Her deal with Perithion got disrupted by Tom and Kaz, and so she wants to use the means of public humiliation as a means of revenge. And thus, Clay defeating Tom is public humiliation because she views losing as humiliating, right? Whereas for somebody else, say any other character, not really, but like, yes, winning and losing are stakes in this world, but they're not every character is everything, right? Like, somebody might just view this as a game. This is my hobby. I like to play because I think it's fun, and whether I win and lose, I'm having a good time. But Clay and Christella hold the winning and losing so close to their chest. They really, they care so much about the win and loss. It is of such importance to them. Whereas another character, yeah, this is a game. It may not hold any importance to them whether they win or lose. They're just here for fun. And like most of our characters fall somewhere in between on that spectrum. Like obviously Tom, he loves to win, hates to lose, right? But I don't think loses he doesn't view losing as humiliation the same way that Clay and Christella does. I think he hates to lose, but if he lost one match, it's not the end of the world. You put up a good fight, but I think maybe consistency is where it gets to Tom. And maybe that's a later thing. But both Clay and Christella, they try to enact revenge on Tom by ensuring that he loses the match, right? Clay uses the match as revenge for Tom's interference with the deck jacking, and Cristela uses it as revenge for freeing Zerg and messing up her deal with Perithion, right? Both arguably noble things that Tom does, like, you know, freeing a creature and, you know, stopping a deck jacking. But the reason why Clay was deck jacking is because he wants to win by any means possible. And upsetting that upset Clay. So moving forward, we see that their metric for success is win rate. Our villains, Clay and Cristela, they measure success by somebody's win rate, which, is a nice metric to view success. But it's not just success, it's like they view their own self-worth through their win rate, which is not always healthy to do. Don't view your self-worth through a number. View it from yourself or something. I don't know. View your self-worth through you, not through a number. And that's what I've always said, and not for the first time right just now. So as we talk about Clay and Cristela and their any means necessary approach, this is really because they're trying to win by any means necessary. They do things that, other characters might. The mysterious disappearances, the theft, the lying, really anything but explicit cheating. That's kind of their line, right? Clay will send somebody to pair him with no way back. They will, you know, find a literal child and try to steal all of his cards for thievery to get those good cards, and do so by lying. But cheating is something like that's his line, right? He accuses Kaz of cheating during the Vile Driver episode of like, oh, he cheated. We both got defeated at the same time, and Kaz like jumped and ditched, and so he wasn't defeated. Just Clay was, and he accused him of cheating, right? And so that accusation also plays into like he was so upset that he lost, but right, cheating to him is unfair, but winning through all these other means are not. Like they have a lawful system. You can do anything except for cheat because cheating is cheating in the game, right? And you have to be good at the game through your tools. If you have good cards, that's just being good at the game. But if you do something wrong in the drome, that's messing with the moral upstanding of the game, and that's unacceptable. You know what I mean? And so this is the lens that I think that Clay and Cristela view the world. And the fact that Clay is a nasty person already is apparent when Clay and Cristela first meet, and it only gets worse with the two of them together. Like, Cristela's like, hey, and he says, get out of my way or else. And then she goes, I have something that might help you play the game. And then he's like, okay, I'll hear it, right? And then after, when he's mad about when he's mad about losing, he's yelling or whatever. Not the nicest person. But he learns that Cristela is valuable to him, and so therefore they team up, right? They both see each other as a means to get better scans, to get better cards, to, rank higher in this game, and that's why they become friends, is because they think they can help each other. And that's how we build up our recurring antagonists. They have motivation, which is revenge. They have a system of beliefs, which is I want to be a good chaotic player. I'll do that by any means necessary. And they have a limit, except cheating, right? That's where they draw the line. So that's a little bit of analysis on Clay and Cristela. Maybe they can figure that about themselves too. Lore! Time for lore. So we get some introductions on this episode we get the introduction of the trading tables and like the strategy tables. So what they are is they're tables with screens in the chaotic great room, if you will, like the student union of Chaotic, just like by the port center where the snacks are, the viewing where everybody views battles. We also have these tables. And how they work is you put your scanner in the table and it lets you interact with your deck on a larger screen. And so you can set up trades or you can set up mock decks and like do strategy. And one thing, you know, I have to question is a public area the best place for strategy tables? We can't have like a practice room, put them around the corner. We're discussing strategy out in public. But it lets you interact with your deck in a way of how it would look in the drone that I think is useful and tangible, and maybe should be part of the new student orientation, if you will. But it's an interesting addition to the technology and a way that we're able to view trades and strategy through a visual medium is by putting them on this table. It also allows Christella to bug this table, which here's a question, is bugging necessary? If the scanners, if you can just call somebody and they don't have to pick up and you can just hear everything they say, right? What if she just called Kaz's scanner? She could have heard everything that way. But you know what? She did it in style because she had her purple bug and her purple headphones, and she had her little notebook to take notes, and that's called spying in style, right? And so why do it the easy way of just call them on your scanner when you can do it in the fun way? Also, like, she probably couldn't have just called them on the scanner because, like, they were using their scanners to do strategy and pick out cards and whatever. So if she called Kaz, he would have seen it. But I just this mechanic of the scanners, I have to question. Next up, we have the lore. It's more a game mechanic of deck stacking. So in the episode, Clay stacks his deck with just lava pond scans for location cards. And in the real world, in physical cards, I believe there is a rule that is the 2-card rule. Like you can only have 2 identical cards of a card. So whether that's battle gear or location or music, or 2 creatures with the same name in your deck, meaning same real name, not same subtitle, right? Later with sometimes creatures get like subtitles as time passes, they have to differentiate. And so you can use, let's use an example, right? You can use Jason the Good and Jason the Better, but you can't use Jason the Good, Jason the Better, and Jason the Best. That's 3 of like the card Jason, just with different subtitles. Or you could use 2 Jason the Good, right? Or 2 Jason the Best. But you can't use 3 because the rule is 2 cards. And so clearly this rule is different in Chaotic, meaning Clay was able to stack his deck because if this rule was in place, I don't think that would physically be something that he could do as he was setting up his deck. But it begs the question, if every single scan in Param in Chaotic is unique, right? We know this because, right, if the blasters on the file driver were broken, the aerodrome was broken in the Bodil episode, they wouldn't work in battle. So does that means every single location scan is also unique? And the question is how do you differentiate them? This is not, well, so this is actually a tangent of how do you differentiate, if every single one of your cards is unique, how do you differentiate versus, oh no, this is the liquidizer I accidentally broke, versus this is the one that works good. Like this one has half battery and this one has full battery. How do you differentiate those in your deck? There must be some way to differentiate them as you're choosing your cards. They must have subtitles or some way to see the stats inside. And maybe the question is, why would you keep a scan of a broken liquidizer? I don't know. Maybe it would come in handy. Blunt force object. But What if, oh no, I accidentally used my liquidizer that's broken. Well, it sucks. You should have used the one that works. It's just, that's my question. It's like, how do they differentiate them? If you have 10 lava pond scans, this one's at night. This one's during the full moon. This one is at sunrise, right? Oh, the lava is extremely bubbly today. The lava's not bubbly at all today, right? Different days, different weather. It's snowing, it's windy. How do you tell them apart? But, like, even though they're the same cards, even if they have these, like, pretty subtleties, like, oh no, I scanned my Kiru city when it was so windy, versus, oh, I scanned it on a sunny one. And maybe your strategy is, I need the wind for my kite. I don't know. Or maybe your strategy is, I need the sun for the heat, right? Different strategies, different ways. How do you tell them apart? That tangent over. But if every single card is unique, the two card rule must not apply, right? Typically we see decks being built with like fully unique cards on the whole thing, just as a visual narrative. It's good not to confuse the audience. Like if you have two Tahinoms on your team in the narrative story, it gets kind of confusing. Versus if you're playing with cards, it's like, you see the difference. Most of the time we see fully unique cards the whole time, except for when there's like a gimmick like this of Clay using all Lava Pond scans, or I think later Tartarwrecker uses all Tartarex, right? And so the rule must not apply because every single scan is unique. And so how do you use the two card rule when everything is different? Or it's just different because it's a different medium. You're playing physically, you're playing in person, you're playing online. Sometimes these require different game mechanics to achieve, fairness and a sense that everybody can have fun. How else are the rules different in the Battle Drum versus online versus physically? Do they vary greatly in this universe, or are they pretty much the same except with some like minor tweaking just, you know, to fix the bugs? On to fun facts and other notes. I would say one is I have to mention the red sweatshirt icon. He was just really prevalent to me in this episode for no reason at all. There's pretty stock background characters in this TV show. Like they have a handful of characters that they just like put in the background, to fill up crowds, to, you know, show movement in the world of Chaotic. And the one that, like, there's two that really stick out to me a lot. And this episode, the one in the red sweatshirt that has like a white Q on it, he was just so prevalent to me, and I thought I'd point him out. So, like, props to you for being a featured ensemble member in this episode. There's the other one, I didn't write her down, but I'm thinking about her. I think she's wearing like a pink collared sweater and maybe jeans, but she's an icon for real too. The other thing I wanted to say is when Clay challenges Tom, he says, I have a battle in the Krellindrome, but, and now it's with you, or like something to that effect. He says Krellindrome, but the wide shot that we get of the drome before the match starts does not match the other wide shots that we get of the drome. Right? Normally the Krellindrome is like, it's kind of ovular and it has this like white swoop around it that, matches Krellin's aesthetic when we eventually see him. But the shot that we get right now, I'll put up a picture, um, is blue and it has like these legs. And we know we have 7 battle drones, 7 code masters. And so it begs the question, did Clay just say Krellindrome and they decided to battle somewhere else? Because this also isn't the beta drone. But, or is there just inconsistencies? Like, is this the back? Is this the back of the Krellindrome? And so I just want to know, is this a Krellindrome or is this not the Krellindrome? And that's my question. That's my fun fact, is that there's like this inconsistency here. Some final thoughts. This is, I would say, my favorite episode so far. Of the first 8 episodes, Flux, the Flux Bobble episode, Everything in Flux, is my favorite. I think it has such a solid, cohesive story. There's really no A plot, B plot, but the story told is, it drives forward, it's intricate and complex, and it has an exciting battle with like stakes and tension, and I just think the action is compelling. And, the information we learn at the beginning justifies the ending, right? We get this nice through line of like the reason they're at Iron Pillar in the beginning is because Tom can learn about Iron Pillar, and that's how he ends up defeating Clay, right? We get a nice callback, and that's good writing, I think. So the beginning justifies the ending. We learned something. There's a clear lesson about using locations to your advantage, and I just think it's solid. We get our villain team up, which has lasting ramifications on the series, and Magmon's a cool character, and the lava pond. I don't know. It's just, you know, I think this episode has a special sauce to it. A special sauce. It's the juice. You know what I mean? Maybe I'll have to do another character design for Cristela and Clay, because they are also reoccurring characters. Like, of our 6 reoccurring human characters, they're a third of them. We get 2 of the 6. And so maybe I'll have to break that down in the future. But with that, have a good day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.